doesn't say.
JD, what did you think about the video?
Doesn't say we must have objective.
I think the debate was a very
Moral
good
duties.
comparison between the moral
Problem-
values of
that's
a
problem
Christian
one.
and a non-Christian.
Problem
See,
two,
the
all
atheistic
actions
man
are casually making.
sees that. Please, quiet. I have the floor. The
Shut
atheistic man sees that we don't need a semblance of God in order to understand what moral values are. Each human has their own moral compass, but really, though, we are taught from a young age, oh, this is bad, this is not. A baby does not make any moral decisions. So, since our parents taught us, they must have been taught, and the cycle must go on before our Creator, God. So I agree with the Christian.
Matt, do you agree with Chitty about what he said?
I do.
Chitty, do you want to reiterate and tell Matt what you said? What did you agree about the Christian? What did you like? Like, what were your favorite points?
My favorite points about the Christian's idea is that we cannot really understand moral values without a understanding of God itself. So who do you agree with, the atheist or the Christian?
Well,
Or the gay guy.
obviously the Christian guy. I mean, I spent a lot of time looking at both of their arguments, and then the Christian's argument is just more based on, and he's straight to the point, and he always is going straight with his argument, whereas the atheist is like sort of avoiding the question, and he's constantly attacking the Christian's point of view on a Christian God, rather than just a universal, like, monotheistic, maybe even polytheistic God. The atheist is constantly avoiding the question of where does atheism get their objective morality from, and then the Christian exposes that, and then the atheist just goes on a rant almost about how you can't, where this is only possible throughout the. Well, he just goes on a rant, and I mean, it doesn't really answer the question.
I will add that the atheist had a certain point of saying by the Christian's logic, each person's moral values is based on their own God, and a prisoner who killed people but believed in God and is executed can go to heaven, while someone who did no wrong and believes in a different God can go to hell. The atheist doesn't seem to understand what we believe. If you do good in life, belief in God or not, and if you didn't have the chance to believe in God, you still have a chance to go to heaven. The atheist didn't understand this and was attacking something he did not understand. Thus, he was exposed.
I mean, I do agree with you for the most part on that last argument, but that, like, before you can say that he completely doesn't understand, well, there obviously is a misunderstanding with the faith that covered his argument there. I don't want to say that, I think we went a little far in the bounds of, like, the Christian belief that if you're a good person, even if you believe in a different God, then you're saved, because, I mean, you have to, I mean, it's obvious that you're not going to be saved if you actively reject the true God.
This is true.
Like, in the Catholic faith, if you go, these guys are idiots, and I'm never going to believe that, they're wrong. Even if you are a good person, you're technically not living the way Jesus commanded us, and that's the whole basis of our lives, is living as Jesus commanded us. So that's actively rejecting God's word and will, and the atheist didn't, Dr. Harris didn't really come to he didn't really talk about this.
Yeah, like, they both talked around, like, when they were asked questions, they both talked around their answers, like.
They were never to the point.
Yeah, that's.
Maybe in the fact that, they were dealing with a bunch of college kids, they weren't really expecting some of the questions, as Matt Sander pointed out. But I will say that even though there were some quite intelligent questions that they couldn't answer, and they just continued to repeat, which is why John Arrieta didn't even bother documenting their Q&A session, because it was all the same stuff they were saying before.
Yeah.
They didn't really do a good point of reiterating and making it easily understandable.
Well, they didn't have a lot of time.
This is also true.
I mean, if they would have taught a semester class, maybe, then they would have had time to cover each topic.
This is also true. But also the fact of no follow-ups also quite hindered our understanding. A bunch of high school kids, no follow-ups from a bunch of questions from college kids. Didn't really end well. Anyway, on that note,
I think if we kind of evade the whole Q&A session, because I think that was probably the least important point of the debate. I think if we go back to the main arguments, I think that there was a problem, like both of them, there was a problem with both of the arguments. First one, like the first guy with Dr. Craig, he had a lot of good points, except he kind of evaded, he kept talking about the defining moral terms and what morality is. And like if there is a God, then there has to be, and if then there has to be objective morality, and if there isn't a God, then there isn't. He was
very cut and dry.
He was cut and dry with his main points, but he was vague in explaining what he means by that and how exactly he can prove it. And I know it's a tough thing to prove, but he didn't go much into detail with it. His contentions were really good points. It's just proving the contentions wasn't the greatest job. And going to Dr. Harris, the atheist. The problem with his argument is he had too many. Not only did he evade the main question, which was like objective morality, and explaining his position on it, because he spent most of his time basically trying to ridicule religion and say that he's right in being an atheist, and that wasn't really the topic of the debate. But also, like going into his actual points, there were too many misunderstandings about religion and faith, and especially specific religions. As he went into it, like he was making jokes about the cracker being Jesus in communion, and also how like. We believe that killing children is a good thing, like
yeah, he had too many irrational examples
exactly. that really didn't make sense, and were too extreme to be well grounded in any legit argument, and it just went overboard, and he had too many misunderstandings about Christianity, like, and about God in general. Like, if God says we should kill all these people, then that's a good thing, because God would never tell us to kill all these people, because that's obviously not a good thing. So I think that those are the main problems with both of the arguments.
On that note, this ends our group's discussion.
Hold on. Let's end with the point of who we thought did a better job.
It's true.
Chidi,
They both struggled. They both struggled, but I would say in the end, the Christian did a better job because he was more on point with the entire topic of the debate.
He also was more clear and structured. He gave like, this is this point I'm defending, and then he goes on to list like the problems with the atheist debate. Whereas the atheist, he just goes sort of like attack and then defend, attack and then defend. Where he goes on to talk about how what's wrong with the Christian faith, and then he also talks about how atheism gets their morality from basically evolution, and it's just sort of there. It just pops into our minds throughout time. So I would say the Christian did a better job presenting a more clear argument than the atheist sort of random structure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And just kind of summing up, like I agree with both of them, and just to be like, basically, I think the Christian really the Dr. Craig stayed more with the actual argument of the debate, which was objective morality, and while Dr. Harris kind of strayed, obviously, I don't think he defended as much. I think he tried to evade defending atheism. I think he was more, his position there, what he thought his position was, is to kind of be like, religion just, why would you do it? He tried to evade calling every people who believe in religion psychopaths, but he was trying to allude to that the entire time, and I don't think that direct insults on an entire group of people is a way to win an argument about.
And then he weasels out of it
morality.
saying that he didn't say that, but he actually did say that.
Yeah.
All right, good conversation, guys.
Thanks.